Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Dudiyampi Tatyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Gulshan ji, will you start or Debra ma'am will start directly?
I will be initially just showing slides with your permission.
Yeah, please.
So that the new people, those who have joined us today, at least would know about it, what exactly the program is.
Fine,
with your permission, I will start. Thereafter, then we will, I would request you to say a few words and then we hand over to Madam. Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Green morning, green afternoon, and green evening, world over, wherever you are, whatever part of the world you are. We are every Saturday and Sunday fortunate to come across to Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji, because all other days our programs are in the evening at 7 o'clock when it is quite late in the evening. So Monday to Friday, we come with you on the Making Education Relevant. That's from 7 to 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And then on every Saturday morning, we have got a special program, which is basically Buddha's relevance in our education system today. What are Buddha's teachings? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful to the dynamic and dedicated efforts and the leadership of Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji, the Secretary General of International Buddhist Confederation, who brings the veterans, the legends, and very esteemed guests every Saturday morning at 9:30, where we all are together. So let me just share a few slides. What are we doing? How are we doing? And how today's program has got direct relevance with the entire series. And you will be happy to know that during this COVID-19, because whenever challenges are there, there are new opportunities also. Today is the 70th webinar. That means 69 webinars are already done on education. And today we are touching the 70th webinar. So I wish to share with all of you our chamber, International Chamber for Service Industry, which is a link between India and 30 million non-resident Indians world over, wherever they are, their families and all the natives in the different countries. Early in the morning, we wish and we pray to Almighty for the wellness, for the good health of yourself, your family, your neighbors, your community, and everybody whosoever is directly or indirectly associated with you. So today is a very special, very pious day. It's a Saturday morning. It's a 9:30 a.m. in India. And we are starting yet another morning, how to make education relevant. And today's focus is going to be Buddha's teaching relevance in today's education system. So ladies and gentlemen, this of course comes from Dhammapiyaji, and it comes from all my brothers and sisters, those are following Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhamma Saranam Gacchami, and Sangham Saranam Gacchami, all of us together when we talk about it. Now the past event which our chamber has done, quite a bit of it, I'm grateful to Dhammapiyaji, but at the same time, the gentleman who brought me to Buddhism fold, that is Ashok Wangriji, it would be impolite on my part if I forget him, because anybody who teaches you something new in life, he's a teacher for you. So when I met him on 21st of May, that was in Delhi, India Habitat Center, and there was a very big function, and we all together discussed with each other. And that day I learned what all Buddha has done and what is Buddha's heritage and the pilgrimage journey as far as India is concerned, and how Bodh Gaya and all other places are important as far as the people, those follow and those have a faith. Coincidentally, fortunately, and for me as a good, I feel I'm blessed that our immediate past president, he has done his PhD in Buddhism. He's a professor in America, Professor Satendra Dhiman. His second PhD is in Buddhism. And he dedicated about 8 years to get this PhD, which is in United States. He's at the Woodbury University, Burbank at this point of time. So he gave further inputs to us, and Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji was very kind to lead this particular event. And this was a mega event when we have people from world over. It was living Buddhist leadership. And this was an interactive kind of a discussion and deliberation. Now, during this pandemic, during this lockdown period, when the whole world is passing through a difficult times, we started a web series that is making education relevant. And when we talk about making education relevant, then we requested Dhammapiyaji, and together we worked out that every Saturday morning we will dedicate to Buddha's philosophy, Buddha's teaching, and what relevance they have got in today's education system. Because this entire series, what we are doing Monday to Sunday, that is dedicated to empowering education system. And the title we have given is Making Education Relevant. Because whatsoever we are learning, is that relevant to our day-to-day life or not? So 21st of June on Sunday, just you can imagine, because today is the first day of the month of August, we started harnessing well-being of educators through Buddhist psychology. And that was a great deliberation where Dhammapiyaji and Professor Satendra Dhiman, they were together, and we had the global fraternity as an audience, as a participants with us. And from there, the journey started. And 4th of July, Dhammapiyaji brought 3 distinguished, very esteemed guests from the world over. They were from Sri Lanka, they were from Thailand, they were from Canada, and they shared their experiences and everything related to Lord Buddha. Thereafter, we moved to France, Australia, and Myanmar, that is at Yangon, and that is again on 11th of July. We had the next program, Relevance of Buddha's Teaching. And then we had moved on to 18th of July, where we got Christy Ma'am, that is Taiwan, Malaysia, and then of course from Dubai, we had Dr. Lee, and then Mr. Tan Sian Chi. They joined us, and they all were with us. It was wonderful deliberations, so much to learn from them. In fact, in a very humble way, I'm learning so much what exactly, is Buddhist philosophy and how it has got relevance in our today education system. And then the last week, Dhammapiyaji brought 4 of them, and it was wonderful, eye-opening, what a deliberation and what a discussion. And Professor Dr. Victor V, he gave the total profile of mental cerebrum, and he gave some biological processes also. And we had another distinguished guest from Cambodia, we had from Bangladesh, we had from Sri Lanka. It was something very, very great learning for all of us. So after 25th of July, ladies and gentlemen, today we are again together for yet another very powerful morning as far as India is concerned. Now, this is a dream project. All our members, almost about 12 lakh people, those are directly, indirectly associated with our chamber world over, and International Chamber for Service Industry request all the top notches, those are big corporate houses, that this is something, a very big project, and this is something which is a dream project, and all of us, we are trying to work it together, this International Buddhist University. During this particular lockdown period, I had an opportunity to read a lot, to understand a lot, to wind and unwind whatsoever earlier was there. And when I came across Takshila, which is now in Pakistan, and then I came across world's first international residential university, that is in India, when you talk about Bihar state, and when you talk about Nalanda. So what exactly was there? How 10,000 students and 2,000 educators, and what exactly used to happen over there? So many different languages, so many different subjects, so much of research, so much of innovation, and so much of a treasure of the knowledge was at one particular place. So Whatever we have lost, let's regain, let's re-establish, let's recover, let's rediscover, and try and bring it on the surface, and let the entire world be benefited with the humble steps and the humble efforts and humble joining of all of us together world over. I request and I request each one of us with the folding hands, please bring more and more people together, because when all of us together, my corporate houses and my chamber members, they enjoy coming on Facebook. Okay, fine. You don't want to come in webinar, you want to come on Facebook, you're more than welcome. Come on Dr. Gulshan Sharma's page, open your watch party. But ultimately, we all got to understand what is this dream project, how there is a revival of what all was earlier destroyed and we took away, and that was something, you know, which has gone back with the history. We got to make Pune everything once again over here. So these are the humble efforts of Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya, and our chamber is morally committed, and I have told him that till my breath is, every Saturday morning 9:30 we will bring this particular program, and I would like to be a student in this institution, this university, when it comes up over there as an international Buddhist university, because we are happy as long as we are student. And in a humble way, I would like to request my entire global fraternity, please support this noble cause of Dr. Dhammapiya ji. Now, our chamber in a humble way, because we have understood when we talk about Buddhist pilgrimage, a lot of people from world over, they come, like a couple of people go to their own religious faith, whether it's a Christianity or it's a Muslims or it's a Hindu for that matter, whosoever is there. Similar way, the people, those follow Buddhism once in lifetime, they want to visit Bodh Gaya, they want to come to India. So it becomes our moral duty and it becomes our ethical duty that we should try and work out how their travel should be hassle-free, how they should not have any difficulty, their travel, their transportation, their boarding and lodging, their facilitation, their pilgrimage, how that can be tension-free, hassle-free, and everybody goes back after doing his prayers back to their home place, wherever they are world over. So in a very humble way, we are training at present 30 youth. Those are going to become Buddhist pilgrimage facilitation executives. We have developed the complete book also, which I shared with Ashok Wangri ji also, Malingamu ji also, Dhammapiya ji also. So we have developed the complete content for this, and this is available in a digital form also. We would be more than happy to share with others also. Kindly give us your valuable inputs. In that, we have put entire information in a way that if the chartered flight has to come, how it should reach, directly to Bodh Gaya. If somebody has to travel by road, then what are the facilities? If you want to see the transportation, what are the facilities? How there could be a language, because a lot of languages are being spoken world over. How somebody can be an interpreter and facilitator. And at the same time, I also look into it because some of us, those are married and those are following Buddhism, their children have grown up now. I met a couple of kids at the Hamis monastery. I met at Thikse. I met at Tawang. I met in Sikkim that Rumtak monastery. When I had gone over there, I met a couple of monks and I met a couple of families. I met a couple of people, those follow Buddhism. So those children, those have grown. They have also to take up some kind of a work. So why not they should facilitate Buddhist pilgrimage in India? Ultimately, the aim is the people, those are coming for pilgrimage, they should travel without any difficulty. And for that matter, whether road transportation, rail transportation, or chartered flights, or whatever you want to talk about, medical facility, food facility, boarding and lodging facility, and interpretation facility, whatever we can give it to them, that we have packaged in this particular program. We look forward to further some more guidance, whatever we can do from our side in a humble way. our chamber would be more than happy to take up that task. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, today, we are privileged with Dhammapiyaji. We have got our distinguished guests, those who have joined us from the world over. We extend a very hearty welcome to Madam Miss Deborah Boderix. She is a Buddhist Zuchi Foundation. She's at present in California, in USA. We hope everything is peaceful, everything is fine, and everybody is being taken care of, because United States is also passing through a difficult time. Madam is a senior volunteer with the Buddhist Zuchi Foundation. She has more than 30 years of experience working on major projects related to charity, medical care, education, and humanitarian aids, whatsoever can be provided. Nothing could have been more pious than to have ma'am this morning on this particular program. Madam Deborah, she was previously the CEO of Zuchi Medical Foundation. She leads Buddhist and Catholic interfaith dialogues and serves as a member of the UN Multi-Faith Advisory Council. A very hearty welcome to Miss Deborah Bondrix this morning for this particular deliberation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have also been joined by Dato Dr. G.K. Ananda Kumaresri ji. He has joined us. Dato Dr. G.K. Ananda Kumaresri ji is a career ambassador of over 30 years standing. He retired in 1995 as a Director General ASEAN. Sir, you have got a great responsibility, because 650 million population and lots of people follow Buddhism. You must bring everybody in this fold for our humble efforts, whatsoever we are trying to put in. Since then, he has authored over 30 notable books on such important subjects as the cultivation of human values, personal development, holistic education, the sacredness of motherhood, mother care, holistic parenting, child care, and development and peace. He is a much sought after Dhamma speaker in Malaysia and overseas. Dr. Kumaresri ji is presently the founder president of non-profit charitable organization Human Development and Peace Foundation. He has carved a niche for himself in espousing the concept of living by Buddhism. Wow. By emphasizing the practice and practical application of Buddha's teaching in daily life. A very hearty welcome to him. He is at present in Sri Lanka. We extend him a very warm welcome this morning. We have also been joined by Dr. Yo Hisang Chow. He is from Taiwan. Last week you met Dr. Christie. She was again wonderful. She gave us inputs. Now, Dr. Yo Hisang Chow, he is presently member of the Executive Council World Fellowship of Buddhists. He was also associated with World Buddhist University. I presume it is in Thailand, in Bangkok. Global Network of Holy Path, International Network of Engaged Buddhists, International Association of Buddhist Universities, and Himalayan Buddhist Education Foundation, Nagarjuna Training Institute. So, ladies and gentlemen, with these words, I remove the curtains and I get the warriors of making education relevant. Those are joining us this morning from world over. We extend them a very hearty welcome, and I request Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji from here to take on the entire responsibility, where I become a student and you become a teacher. Teach me whatsoever you can, and I will prove that I'm the best student of yours. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Gulshan ji. We are very much grateful to you and your chamber for providing us this opportunity every Saturday to share Buddha's teaching for the welfare and benefit of all sentient beings all around the world. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all our panelists, Deborah Madam, our Upasaka, Dr. G.K. Ananda Kumaraseri ji, and also our esteemed Upasaka, Dr. Yu from Taipei, Taiwan. As it is known to most of the Buddhists, the very important words of the Buddha which he has asked his disciple is Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya. That means whatever you do, you'll be doing it with an intention for the good, for the welfare, for the benefit, and for the happiness of the many. Some people ask me, why Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya? Why not Sarvojana Hitaya, Sarvojana Sukhaya? That is, why not for all, for the happiness of all, for the benefit of all, for the good of all? Definitely. When you work bit by bit for the good of, benefit of, welfare of, and happiness of 1, 2, 3, 4, you keep increasing the number and you'll be doing the service in this direction for the welfare, benefit, and happiness of all. The thing is, when we are to do the service, we cannot do for all at one go. So we have to take step by step. That's why Bahujana Hitaya means you dedicate yourself to as much as possible your service for the welfare and benefit of all. That's why we have the term Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya. Of course, when we wish and spread the loving kindness for the welfare and benefit of all living beings, we have also the term Sabbe Satta Sukhita Bhavantu. Here we wish and also pray and dedicate ourselves for the good benefit and happiness of all. So these things are there, both not only Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya, but what you want to say, Sarvajana Hitaya, Sarvajana Sukhaya, it's also there. But we apply wherever it is appropriate, the term. So today, I'll not take much time. I take this opportunity to invite first our Upasika Devra Vodriaks from USA, the prominent activist of Shuchi Foundation, which is a very, very big organization in humanitarian services. Somebody was telling me, maybe after Red Cross, Shuchi Foundation might have that kind of manpower and also the skills and the people, volunteers. I was told maybe they are having more than 1 million volunteers spread around the world. See, 1 million volunteers dedicating for the humanitarian services around the world, not charging single penny from the organization. And they're working on their own accord, with their own money. They take their own food, they buy their own food, they pay their own transportation costs, and they go to different places at different parts of the world and serve. If there is any kind of calamities or any kind of disaster, then you'll find the volunteers of Shuchi Foundation will be reaching there first. So that is why we are very much grateful to Shuchi Foundation, which is also a Buddhist organization. I would like to invite now Ms. Deborah Vodriaks, Madam, please take this stage and present your valuable ideas, please.
Thank you, Dhamma Payapji. It's very nice, and all the distinguished panelists allow me to take this opportunity to share Living the Change, and from the Compassion in Action, a tool explore. We all know this is the 7D series for video conferencing over the internet. This kind of new tool allows us to connect with the whole world. This is the cloud becomes a place of spiritual practice where our hearts are connected and transcending physical boundary. This is from Dhamma Master Zheng Yan. So this kind of teaching, it's become a normal pattern for Buddhism. We get together. We all know the climate change. The whole world, the temperature is getting higher. We are facing the productivity for the food. We are facing the shortage for the daily consumption. There are so many situations happen right now. Earth is under a lot of overshot. Earth is under a lot of doubt. Do you know in 2019, we overshot by 155 days. That means we need 1.75 Earth for us to survive. Therefore, more and more young people are talking about the Earth. The Earth is facing burden. The Earth is facing challenge. We should change the policy, not asking the climate to change. It's human change, not climate change. There is only one Earth in this world. So it's so critical. We have to identify the problem. So as a Buddhist, we identify current problem is poverty, the waste of the energy, the human accidents, the natural calamities, overpopulation, and the governance issue. So when we're facing such a force of the nature, human being becomes like a tiny ants. We need to figure out how can we go back to our basic nature and have the reverence, respect, and love all things in this world. When you see this cartoon, this is the Buddhism we use into the daily life for the practice. So the global sentient being, the educational movement, we want to make a difference, a religious difference. We want to share the responsibility. We want to meet the gap and leave no one behind. So Tzu Chi, living the change. Today, I would like to quickly take my time to share with you 3 major areas. Through the circular economy, and we using the COVID-19, that's think about the conserving energy and what will be the best solution now is so-called ethical eating. Tzu Chi, thank you so much. Currently, we have more than 62 countries around the world, and we have more than 101 countries we provide charity services. Indeed, I'm a volunteer. All the volunteer, we pay our own transportation. We take our own time. We are donated. It's not just the time and effort. It's a lot of information. So we empower the volunteer to devote it, the value to become a volunteer. We want to provide the concept for selflessly contribution. So from this, the circular economy, we have talking about holistic circular economy, segmented circular economy, skeptical and optimist. So by using this 4 pillars, we talk about social, economic, environmental, and political consideration. Now we have so-called Tzu Chi circular love movement. So on the screen, you can see one side is spiritual circulation. The other side is the
No, we cannot see any screen, madam. We cannot see any screen.
You got to share the screen, sister.
Okay, sorry. I did.
Yes, now it has come.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's the circular economy, the screen. Let me enlarge it. Sorry. Okay, so you can see one side is spiritual circulation, the other side is the materials. So the spiritual circulation, one side is through the charity, care for love, and become a treasure. A treasure become a global influence become a pure scream. So from the plastic, we're talking about recycling, we're talking about recycled materials, then become eco products. So from the eco products, we use the compassion in action. We work with the private partners called Dai Technology. They mobilize the entrepreneur, everybody working together, and to use the recycling materials to become a clothes, sunglasses, shoes, a scarf, a blanket. And then, you know what? This one can also become a building materials. And from the trash to treasure, compassion in action. We also work with Steel Thoughts technology. This technology become a multiple functional purpose bed. During the disaster, we just mentioned about you can see this become a sleeping quarter to provide respect for the population who are already suffering. So from the recycling materials, how can we remind people to remember what is the material can be recycled? So we use 10 fingers to remind people. Each finger represent one materials, such as bottle, bottle, can, can, paper, power, 3C, fashion, metal, bicycle. So you teach them, you remind them. So this kind of educational materials can suitable to all walks of life, like elderly recycling volunteers, give them the opportunity to participate, to stay connected, and they will not feel alone. So this is another materials to remind everyone we should dispose less, we should conserve more. So it's very simple. Loving the earth is simple as number one, remember how to save the water. Number three, you can remember how to eat the food more healthy. Number five, you can remember carry our own drinking cup, utensil. So by doing this, we can really think about when number one, water is going to become a major treasure for the Mother Earth. How can we be more cautious about that? So from that, let's talk about this time, COVID-19, the PPE. PPE delivery is such challenge when all the incidents happen. So Mother Earth is asking everybody, remember, how can we protect ourselves? How can we protect our first responders? How can we protect our hospital medical professional? So from that, we developed the concept for the cloth mask. So all the volunteers around the world, we leave the PPE to the medical professional to save their life. But for the general public, that's learn how to do the cloth mask. So this cloth mask is become very, very important because the concept for compassion in action, the concept for sequence of delivery, the concept for empower local ownership to participate. And a lot of time through the COVID-19, we really learn so-called social distance. Never heard before social distance. Never heard before we have to wear the mask all the time. So this kind of new normal become a daily normal now. So Pope Francis, in March 28, he mentioned about the pandemic is not a judgment for God, but a time for us to judge, to choose what matters and what passes away. It's a time to get our lives back on the track. Same time, our founder, Master Zheng Yan, April 25, she pointed out what would be the best way to overcome the pandemic, especially right now. We have no idea when it's going to be ended. And when you see this slide right now, Mother Nature, the best education. The mountain Himalaya, so pretty, so clean. And then you see the satellite. There is no yellow dots, very limited. And you see in the Vatican, and you see the Kenya, the elephant family. How can we maintain this kind of environment for us? Across the planet right now, every second, 2,443 animals are killed, not including marine creatures. Every day, over 210 million innocent creatures are slaughtered. Every year, over 77 billion animals lose their lives. How can we save the life? Everyone, we have our responsibility in order to encourage everyone to be more aware of the food shortage, to eat a healthy diet. The Buddhism using the different wisdom of the day to encourage the community, encourage the students to be aware. So the educational materials from the social media into the human daily life, using the same information to remind people. And more than 7,000 Tzu Chi youth volunteers across the 18 countries, they participate, they support, they have their own creativity. So Buddhism is not only chanting, Buddhism go into the community to provide services. We should never underestimate ourselves. as long as we are mindful. We all learn and pass on the Dharma. Dharma masters and Yin remind us. Therefore, we would like to call to the action now, everyone. We have to know Buddhism support to respect our Mother Earth. And this kind of support come from our daily life. We learn from the compassion of the Buddha, the wisdom of the Buddha Dhamma, and the discipline of the Sangha. And by go among the people to work the Bodhisattva path. So from the daily life, from the pandemic, we learn it's not a climate change, it's the people change. We learn it's not just sitting, chanting. We also know we can go reach out to the community to share through the different educational materials started from our life. Call to the action. That's join the plant-based diet movement. Thank you so much. This is my presentation to share with you all. Amitofo.
Thank you so much. Yeah, now. Yes, okay, now stay. Slide, please. You can close the slide.
We got to close the presentation.
Okay, anyway, thank you so much. Our esteemed Upasika from Suchi Foundation, now based in USA. She has given very lucid and informative the service aspect of the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha's teaching is not only to learn some of the text or discipline, but it is to reach out to the people, as I have said in the beginning, for the welfare, benefit, and happiness of the many. So keeping this word of the Buddha, Suchi Foundation is doing a really good service. The teachings of the Buddha in action, they are implementing it. So now, may I request Upasaka Dr. Datu, Dr. G.K. Anandakumara Seri, please take the stage and give your presentation, please.
We would request just to close the presentation, so that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Upasaka, kindly you're welcome to the stage, please.
Thank you, Most Venerable Dhammapiya, Dr. Dhammapiya. First of all, let me thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you some thoughts, ideas, concepts on Buddhist education and how to develop a modern education system. As your topic had mentioned, make education more relevant. And also, before I proceed, I would like to wish all our Dhammaputras and Dhammaputris Sukhi Hotu. Sukhi Hotu means may you be happy and well always. Sarmaji had mentioned or greeted us, good morning, and this is a usual custom we have been doing. What is so good about the morning? I'm asking everybody. When we have COVID and we have so many other problems, we go on wishing each other good morning. But the Buddha had taught us to wish each other Sukhi Hotu. Not just the morning, not that the afternoon, not the night, but always to be happy and well always. Now this is the first lesson I would like to share with you. And I'm using it to illustrate some of the deeper meaning and deeper purpose of education. Also, it is an eye-opener to make us rethink, to make us revisit, to make us to reevaluate what we have been doing by way of education and education systems. I have spent several decades, I would say, regarding this subject, and I have written about 30 over books, which is focusing on the practice and practical application of Buddhism in everyday life. And one component of focus has been holistic Buddhist education. Now, if you would bear with me, I would like to first question the term or the terminology of education. Education, as we have been taught in our generation and few generations earlier, is a Western concept of education. But in real fact, education is as old as the hills. It is a very, very age-old practice. And as Sarmaji had mentioned, we have Taksasila, which is several centuries old. And we have Nalanda, we have the Dharmashir, and also in other parts of India, education has been very deeply entrenched. So it is not a new subject. Unfortunately, we have not looked into our real understanding of what education is all about. And we have been brought into a new system of education which is not relevant. It is not relevant. So let me explain to you why it is not relevant and why it is not being successful. In a sentence, the system of education that we have been accustomed to and which is currently going on is a failure. It's an absolute failure. When you refer to education, in fact, the term education itself is derived from the Latin word educere, that is to draw out the human being, the humanness in us. That is the whole purpose of education, to make you a better human being. And today we have education facilities all over the world, much more than a generation ago. We have better facilities, better technology, better materials, better equipments, and better opportunities for children to go through an education system. But the social ills and crimes, the problems that we are facing with today is far greater, far more complicated, and far deeper and far more horrendous than it was before. Now, if we say education is to make you a better human being, to draw out what is supposed to be in you as a human being, then obviously we have failed. If that is the purpose, we should have society which is much more peaceful, harmonious, understanding, cooperative, and much more progressive. But it is not. So that is why I insist rather that education has failed. Now, earlier I had mentioned that education is not new. And the Buddha himself is an acharya unsurpassed. In the Theravada tradition in particular, after taking our 5 precepts, we recite Itipiso Bhagava Arahan Samma Sambuddho Vicca Charana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang. Those are the characteristics of the Buddha, the perfections of the Buddha. And we recite Satta Deva Manusana, the teacher of gods and men. Now, let us ask ourselves, do we know how the Buddha taught? Do we use what the Buddha taught? Obviously, we do not know how the Buddha taught. We are not using how the Buddha taught. And this is a very sad situation, that we have such a rich heritage, such deep knowledge and understanding of education, but we are not able to share it with the whole world, let alone make it known within the community that we have as Buddhists. So my objective has been for several years, Sarmaji, I think I discussed with you some time ago about this. We met at the international program to promote Buddhist sites in India, in which I was a panelist some years ago, that we need to focus on this. Now, let us begin by understanding why education has failed. Now, education has failed because, as I mentioned, we have not understood the definition of education. Once we understand the definition of education, then we'll be able to focus on why it has failed. Education today is actually a product of the agricultural revolution and the industrial revolution. As a result of these vast changes, they started producing schools to train people so that they will develop skills like apprentices and trainees, and then go to the outside world and become part of the workforce. So essentially, schools were a kind of appendix, a factory to produce workers. And unfortunately, this has been going on for generations, and it is still continuing today. That is why most of the education system is focusing on just paper chase, route learning, and trying to pass exams and getting a qualification and getting a good job to earn a living, to get a profession, to work somewhere. And this is, to put it in a very nutshell, so to speak, where, that this is the whole purpose of education. Now, we need to, first of all, understand that education is to develop people. It is not to provide knowledge. It is not to make you be able to have more and more knowledge, technical or whatever type of knowledge, and to be erudite, to learn by heart, to recite chapter and verse. And even in the case of the Dhamma, it is not to be able to be an expert in the Dhamma like any other subject matter. Rather, it is to make you understand who you are and what you are. Because the focus, the guinea pig or the experiment of education is the human being. It is the human being we are trying to develop, not trying to give him knowledge of the subject. Now, if we do not understand what the human being is, and what he is, and who he is, and how his whole nature, then obviously we are not able to provide the education that would make him a better human being. The Buddha described the human being as Manushya. Manushya means a being that has got a mana or mano, a mind that can be developed to its highest potential. Now, this is very, very important. If we are trying to provide education for society comprising of human beings, we must understand what is the nature of the human being. Now, we must also recognize the fact that we have this potential to develop even further. And if we don't develop this potential further, it can also go in the wrong direction and become a human being with a mind which is corrupted, which is evil, and which has got all kinds of impediments and defilements, which will definitely, invariably make him think, speak, and behave in a very unwholesome way. That is the nature of the human being. Now, with education, we can arrest this, or we can not only arrest, we can also turn the human being into a more wholesome direction and provide him the ways and means of becoming a wholesome human being by providing him a mental culture, by cultivating a mental culture which will enable him to think, to speak, and to behave in a wholesome way. So that, in a nutshell, is our understanding. Obviously, I can't take a lot of time explaining all the things that I have written. These have been written in a number of books of mine, in some of the 30 books I have authored, and hopefully we will have opportunities further through the print media and through this electronic media to share deeper insights into these aspects. Now, when we say that the mind should be the focus of education, we should be completely aghast, alarmed that we go through an education system our whole life, from primary right up to secondary to university to PhD level, not even spending 1 hour, one period of your whole syllabus, life's career, not even looking at the mind. There is no syllabus in school systems, modern school systems, talking about the mind. And yet it is so important, so vital. So this is the root cause of the failure of education. We need to incorporate the cultivation of the mind as a program, as a full curriculum in the education system. Only then can we develop the human being. Now that is the fundamental drawback or fault or weakness or incorrect approach that we have in education system. Now, the reason why the mind is so important is because, as the Buddha had mentioned, the mind is the forerunner of all our thoughts, all our speech, and all our action. Now, if this mind is, as the computer will tell you, if it has got virus, if it has got defilements, then of course our actions, speech, and thoughts would be all in that direction. Now, the education system should be such that we should look at the origin of the mind. Now, we are so accustomed to think that if a child goes to school and then passes exams and does well in the exam, it's all well and good. That's all education is all about. But the Buddha had taught us, and this is very, very, very important, and which we have been neglecting and ignoring. It was there generations ago, and particularly during the time of the Buddha, this was ingrained. The beginning of the mind is in the mother's womb. Remember, the beginning of the mind is alive while the baby is in the fetal state in the mother's womb. The Buddha had taught about Gabba Parihara, the development of the mind during that period when the fetus is forming in the mother's womb. Now, if the mind is alive, whatever this mind experiences by way of sensation, by way of sound, by way of emotions, will get registered in the mind. You cannot stop it. You cannot prevent it. And because the baby is connected with the mother through the umbilical cord, whatever the mother feels automatically impacts the mind. This is the time that we need to program the mind. Because if we put a proper program in the mind, then the mind gets insulated from the negative influences. As it is, we are not programming this mind, as the Buddha taught through Gabba Parihara, and therefore negative and evil impediments or unwholesome impediments get rooted and get stored in the mind. And they give expression when the child grows up. So I have, in fact, as I said, I have big problem of not having enough time to go into details. This is a 500-page book which talks about the development of the mind and the development of a holistic mind and a holistic child in the mother's womb, even before birth. And there are many details, and this is a manual which can be used. And I have discussed this with most venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji. We need to make this a training program so that we train mothers, we train teachers, and they then can go to other places and proliferate these teachings. This is the first stage. We cannot come to education unless we decide to do the preliminary stage of home education. mother care and home education. The next part of it is that before the child goes to school, the child is exposed to all kinds of negative, unwholesome influences. The mind is working. The eyes are able to see, the ears are able to hear, the emotions are able to experience. So what this child goes through is very, very corrupted, very, very unhealthy, unwholesome experiences. And before the child can go to school, this mind is already corrupted. This mind is already defiled. So the Buddha had very categorically stated that the parents are the first teachers. The parents are duty bound. It is their duty to provide guidance, to provide education, to provide training, to provide grooming in the home, and not just send the child to say to a best school and give all the best facilities and say, I have done my duty, my child has gone to school. No, it is the home that has to be the first school. So again, I have dealt in detail this particular aspect, which is missing completely in the Buddhist community itself. So let us begin by training young people how to live a married life. What is marriage? Today they are getting into marriage and getting out of marriage just like in Hollywood and Bollywood, as though it's a fashion. You changing clothes from time to time. We can't blame them because we have not taught them what is marriage. We have not shown by example good marriages. We have not shown by our own example how to lead a married life, how to treat the wife, how to, as the Buddha explained, how to recognize her contribution, her services, how to give her gifts. Nothing of these things are taught. This is another area of education we have to provide. Before children are born, the parents themselves should understand their role, their function, and their impact and influence that can bring about the offsprings, the type of offsprings that they are going to bring into the world. Now, this is part of the education system. Again, I would like to emphasize. Second is, having taught that, we have training programs how to have holistic motherhood. As I said, this is the beginning of life. Then, beyond that, we have to develop this child to such a point that he or she is able to derive understanding, clear understanding. It is not knowledge that we should focus on. We must help this child to have understanding, which is the most important and the golden thread which goes through the Eightfold Path. With right understanding, then the child would able to make use, make sense, make benefit, make constructive, wholesome action and life in developing herself or himself. And then the rest of the journey in life would be completely within the scope of right understanding. Now, it's not knowledge again, it's right understanding. Here again, we have failed. Now, let me go on to pedagogy. As I said, the Buddha is Purusa Dhamma Sarthi Satta Deva Manusana, unparalleled, unsurpassed teacher. He walked from village to village, from town to town, from country to country. He walked from morning, noon, and night, he taught. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, kings, queens, scavengers, criminals, serial killers like Angulimala. And he transformed. He didn't just provide knowledge, he transformed people. And transformation has been so drastic, like Angulimala from a serial killer becoming an arahant. Now, if the Buddha's method and teachings can transform, why are we not focusing on the way we have been given such a treasure of knowledge, understanding, and skill to bring about this transformation? So let us focus on transformation. The reason is because the pedagogy of teaching is kara. The pedagogy of teaching that we go through is based on cognitive knowledge, just providing knowledge. Even when you start school, all you learn is from nouns. Whereas in teaching psychology and learning psychology, in 1956, there was this great teacher or trainer who was Bloom's, and he introduced training and teaching technology and teaching and learning psychology, and he defined learning into three domains: the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor domain. And this is referred to as Bloom's taxonomy of training. Now, teachers study this by heart, they go through exams, they go through training programs, and they are supposed to implement this. Now, you go and ask any teacher whether she or he is implementing, they are not doing it. Still, largely, all our education system from primary right up to university is cognitive learning. Now, surprisingly, many things which we take for granted are actually not quite the truth. The Buddha, 2,500 years ago, had already taught about Pariyati, Patipatti, and Pativeda. Here, we are going to town with Bloom's taxonomy of training and teaching all these people about Bloom's, as though he is the Guru and Mahacharya. Whereas we ourselves have the Buddha who had taught all these things. Now, let me explain to you what these domains are so that you will have a better insight into what I'm trying to do or what I've been doing all these years. Now, in cognitive learning, you learn only, you cognize, this only cognition, you recognize, that's it. And in affective, you are able to analyze, you're able to synthesize, you're able to look up out of the box, you are supposed to come out with new ideas, creativity, originality, thinking out of the box, and coming out with your own creativeness with all the understanding that you've got. And in psychomotor, not only do you understand, you internalize, and you become the knowledge. So you move from knowing to being what you know. And this is the essence. Not only do you know, but you become and you be the know, the knowledge. Now, this is a fundamental aspect of the Buddha's teaching. And as I said, even Bloom's, although he talks about it, nobody practices it. So let us now look into how we can get this started. Well, on my own, I have started for some years talking about holistic Buddhist education. And I've been spending time and energy and going all over the world talking about it, but nothing happens. So I decided that the crux of the matter is to provide the tools. You can talk concepts, but you need to move from concepts to actual implementation. So I took upon myself to provide tools to incorporate this teaching method and pedagogy of the Buddha, the teaching methods and techniques of the Buddha into actual classroom lessons. Now, this is one example. When we learn, I will start from the alphabet A. When we learn the alphabet A, normally they teach you how. A is for apple, B is for boy, C is for cat, D is for dog. You will find that everything is cognitive. Whereas the way the Buddha taught was not by cognition. We can teach a child who is a young child a great deal of Buddhism and also awakening and also an understanding of whatever he's learning. By, for example, A, I have suggested that we use the word A for altar. Now, when you put the A for altar as a teaching lesson, you can have an interactive learning, and this is important. In the Buddha's way of teaching, there is a lot of interaction. The Buddha asks questions, and then you answer, and then he will explain. That is called interactive learning, and we need to incorporate this interactive learning so that the person also thinks while you are teaching. Now, when you say what is an altar, and you ask children to describe the altar, some will be very, very enthusiastic and will explain all the things in the altar because they are familiar, because they have an altar at home, and they are very proud and happy to share whatever thoughts on that altar, and that is a good point. Second point is you can ask them questions about the altar. Why do we offer flowers? Why do we offer all these things? And then you'll be able to explain the Buddha image that we have in the altar. Why is the Buddha image there? Because we have been, in fact, accused, we have been castigated as idol worship. But we don't teach children why is it that we are not idol worshippers? Because we didn't teach them and they are also not able to understand. We are able to now take the opportunity from a young age to explain we are honoring the Buddha. We are paying respect to the Buddha. We are saluting the Buddha for the characteristics, the virtues, the paramitas that he has been able to perfect. We are not worshipping Buddha, we are respecting and we are trying to emulate the Buddha and trying to use him as a role model to improve ourselves. Now with that lesson, there is no talk about idol worship. It is ideal worship that we can convey to the children. Now this is not being done and therefore many times they're not able to explain. Next lesson, now if you could bear with me, I will try to take one lesson and show how powerful and how interactive and how we can carry this lesson for hours and hours, for days and days throughout the year. That is important. Not apple is, and then that's about it. You can learn apple, and some of them have not seen an apple tree, and we teach them an apple tree because that's how the Europeans have, or the English have introduced this teaching, which is absolutely useless. Now we can improve that and produce a holistic education. Second is, why do we offer flowers? Children are not able to answer because we don't explain that. Some will say, teacher, my mother offers flowers and therefore I offer flowers. So they are doing it mechanically. No, we make them understand the offering of flowers. We teach them the lessons which the Buddha had taught. Children, this flower which is beautiful, which is attractive, and which everybody likes, has, if it has got fragrance, then of course it's nice smelling, perfume, etc. But if it has no fragrance, then insects and birds and the butterflies won't pollinate it and it won't bear a fruit. Similarly, children, you might be handsome, you might be beautiful, you might be the best student, the cleverest student, but if you don't have virtue, if you do not have sila, if you don't cultivate sila, if you don't practice sila, nobody will befriend you. Now, this is deep Dhamma which we teach adults at a very advanced age and when the mind is already completely rotten and we try to change. But here we are trying to take a young mind and develop from the word go the value of having sila, the meaning of sila, the practice of sila, and expressing sila within the class. And we can get them into action learning by various simulation programs, by various exercises, by anecdotes, by practical exercises, how to develop this sila and live whatever they learn every day in the classroom and outside the classroom and when they go home. Another thing is we can teach them anicca, which again we teach adults with very great difficulty, but doesn't get sunk because already the mind is completely warped and is not able to accept or retain it. Even if it's accepted, it doesn't retain. Here, a young child will be able to understand anicca because when you have a simulation program of a puja, the child is able, you can show the child how this beautiful flower withers, then later becomes decayed and smells, and then you have to throw it into a dustbin. Now we turn that reality in life into reality of life by explaining to them, children, you might have parents who are old, you might lose your parents, they might get sick, they might have some loved ones who might pass away. This is the nature of life. Nothing is certain. Therefore, don't be alarmed, don't be shocked. This is nature. We don't want children to be shocked by sudden sadness. So we teach them anicca from a young age. And then I go on, and sometimes I ask them to draw an altar. And children who do not have an altar, they will go back and tell their parents, parents, I want an altar, and they start practicing. The important thing is they practice what they do in class in the home. Parents will join them, and then this becomes living Buddhism, not talking Buddhism, not preaching Buddhism, not giving lectures on Buddhism, but Buddhism in action, in living Buddhism. Similarly, I can go on the whole alphabet, C for caring, and D for dana, and so on. So this is one other aspect that I'm doing. And from primary, from the alphabet, we can graduate. I have done a book on words. So by the time the child finishes the alphabet, we can go to words, structure of the language, word, vocabulary building, and we can bring in Buddhist terms, Buddhist concepts, Buddhist ideas, Buddhist sentence structures. Now, when you take any English book, you will not have any of these Buddhist aspects. Now we have wonderful things that we do, and we can teach the child the meaning, the purpose. And we can introduce the Pali language even by using vocabulary, because these words are going to be acculturalized and will be introduced to the children. And the children will, like they learn English, they will get acculturalized to Pali, and it becomes second nature. It doesn't become foreign from whichever country they come from or whichever environment. They will become familiar with all these terms. What is karma, what is dana, what is ananda, and so on and so forth. All these are sentence structures which provide this holistic framework of inculcating Buddhist ideas, Buddhist thought, and way of Buddhist life from a very young age. Now, it doesn't stop here. As I said, I produce a number of books, and even in the teaching of the life of the Buddha, there are many things that we need to do. We need to compete. We need to compete with the digital world. And here I have done a digital printout of the life of the Prince Siddhartha. Children expect this nowadays. You can't pass on just text. You have to do something by way of digital world. I have also made it simple so that they can understand the life of the Buddha. And there are many incongruencies even in the life of the Buddha, which we need to address. That is a completely different topic. I have tried to do it, and hopefully I get an opportunity one day where we need to address some of the incongruencies. And we shouldn't continue teaching these incongruencies. And one example I would like to share with you is the notion that the Buddha had left the palace in the middle of the night like a thief without nobody knowing. And a bodhisattva does not have to do that. And in any case, everybody knew that the Buddha is going to go on this path of enlightenment, of becoming not the Chakravarti Raja, but Dharmavati Raja. Now, unfortunately, we have been continuing with this aspect, and some of the missionaries go to the villages and ask children, do you love your father? Yes, I love my father. Do you love your mother? Yes, I love my mother. Now, are you sure? Yes, I'm very, very sure I love my father and my mother. Then he says, what if your father leaves you and go? Oh, I'll be very angry with my father. I'll never forgive him. Now, this is the child, innocent child, who is not being told the right things. And then the missionary says, now, this is exactly what the Buddha did. Your Buddha left his house and left a son and a wife and went away. And is this what you want? Is this what you want to follow? And the Buddha, and the child is completely speechless. Now, that is not what happened. Buddha, everybody knew, the whole kingdom knew that the Buddha was going on the way, and there were many, many signs and many, many manifestations of this. And when it actually happened, Yasodhara knew full well, and she even encouraged him to go on this path, because there would be nothing more blessed than to have a husband who is going to be enlightened and to become a Buddha. So I don't want to belabor on this. I don't have the time, the luxury of time, I'm sure, to go into this, but these are all in book form. Now, these are available. I would wish to share all of these things, because we can talk and talk and talk till the cows comes home. And I told most venerable Dr. Dhammapiya We go to conferences, we spend billions sometimes, we spend millions. All these conferences we had, it is all billions of dollars. But even in one conference, we were spending millions of dollars. But we need to move from talking to doing something about it. So this is my humble contribution. There are other aspects, there are many other aspects. For example, there is a very old Chinese story of the basket story. There's another Chinese story of the compassionate emperor. There is a story of this. As we go on, the children grow older, we need to give them more in-depth, more language skills, more imagination, more simulation, more emotional thinking, emotional cohesion. And this has got drawings. And this is actually a one-page Kaka, which we have to share with 13 years old or 12 years old or 15 years old child. We need to provide these kinds. This is about mother care and how mother's love is. This is about being handicapped and showing that you don't have to be in any way weaker or, sort of resign and say this karma, I can't do anything about it. This is about how to be a clever student. So on and on and on, there are many, many things, and these are only samples. In all humility, let me repeat once again, these are only samples. What I envision is for each and every one of you to produce something along these lines so that we'll have a reservoir of resource material, of books we can use in the home, in the schools, when we grow up, in the office, in the workplace. Employers are asking how to motivate staff. When the Buddha had taught all these aspects of motivation, today, Deepak Chopra, I'm giving examples, Zig Ziglar, Anthony Robbins, Stephen Covey, they talk about 9 steps to happiness and success, how to be successful, how to earn millions. Now, they are only rehatching, using jargon and putting the Buddha's teaching. We have it ourselves, and we have it in a better way and in a much more in-depth way and a much more systematic way where we can use the Dhamma to motivate our young people to be successful in life, to be able to develop their potentials and skills. So my humble appeal, I do not know how much time I have to talk. If you don't stop me, I will keep on talking and talking. My humble appeal is, let us resolve to have a pooling of resource persons who will sit down, a pooling of supporters who will be able to translate some of these things are in English into various vernacular languages, a pool of organizations and associations and establishments who will be able to reproduce it and to disseminate it in a hard form or soft form or whatever form, a pool of organizations who can do training of trainers, training of parents, so that this is instilled, because I can't be everywhere every time. My mission is to be able to pass this on to as many people as possible so that they can replicate and they can further improve, because I am not an expert, I'm not a teacher to start with, so they can improve and they can proliferate, and then within a period of 5 to 10 years, we will have dramatic impact on the world. Education, the Buddha's way of teaching, holistic Buddhist education is needed for the whole world, because as I said, it is safe and we can make a whole lot of difference. Madam Deborah had mentioned about change, that it's not climate change, but it is to change people. Here again, the notion that people are the culprits, the human being is the culprit, is never mentioned. Never mentioned. Always you talk about carbon footprint, measurement, emission control. These are only manifestations of the problem. They are at the periphery. The root of the problem is the greed, the corrupt mind that the human being has got. The main actor is the human being. If we don't look at the human being and Dhammaputra Deborah had talked about change the human being, but will be even better if we just prevent the human being from becoming rotten, becoming a problem and having to transform him. If we can insulate, if we can even have them to behave in the right way, then we don't have to change, then we don't have a problem. So the Buddha's way is holistic, is preventive. So we need to think along the lines of prevention. We need to think along the lines of being proactive, not reactive, so that we would be not having a problem to start with. So I would be more than willing and happy to participate. I have been leading and pleading to Mr. Sharma, leading and pleading to Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya.
Yeah.
We must do this. We have to sit down and work and produce. Now, if I am on my own doing it, and I did it because I was frustrated going to all these places, nothing happening. But WFB, I was the United Nations liaison officer in 1990. And I found it was absolute waste of time talking and nothing, not even a single book being produced, not a single training program, not a change. So please, I would beg you, because this is actually my trust, not so much to share. Later we can share what I'm doing, but this appeal, I think, please take, because the results, the impact would be exactly what we need.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Dr. G.K. Anandakumara Seriji, we are very, very, very much grateful to you for your such kind of deliberation, touching all dimensions of education and life. Actually, I'm so sorry that we could not come together to have your program to be implemented in India. But I think immediately after COVID-19 normalizes, we can invite you, as we are now almost set ready. Like even in IBC also, now things are in a better situation, better position. And I myself, like our Dr. Sharma, Gulshan Sharma has shown already the concept of bringing up International Buddhist University here. We also already having our monastic institution. We have Buddhist community in the Northeast. Definitely we will be organizing a training program. The other day also I spoke to our Dr. Anandakumara Seriji that please you come and stay in India for around 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, something like that. So we have to keep on doing, at least we need some time to train our volunteers, teachers, so that you can pass on all the instructions and a program, so that we can have some people who can again carry forward later on. That we can definitely do. I'm hopeful. Let the COVID-19 things get over, and then we'll invite you to India and we'll get it actually done. It's very important. We have to bring Buddhism not only in talking in monastery and puja, but in real practical life in the school. And I'm very happy to know that the Buddha has spoken about Gabba Parihara, where the child learns from the fetus level, from the stage of fetus in the womb. And it is the mother who has to be well kept and trained and framed when she conceives the fetus or whatever it is. So very, very important that I think we do not have enough time today to listen more from you. Maybe some other day, definitely we'll be having a separate session with you on this issue, on these topics. So now, may I take this? Please.
1 minute, please, Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya.
Please.
Can you please? I'm making an appeal. I am on what you call it internet. I have my web ID. Anybody who's interested, please feel free to contact and collaborate. Even because of COVID, we can't meet in person, but we can now through internet interact. And my materials are free for everybody. There's no monopoly on this. That's one. Number two. I think we need to get a good panel of translators, because Buddhism is not English language only, but for all languages, and we must reach out. So let us start with a group of people, volunteers who would do translation, and we can do e-books. And you know.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Dr. Upasaka. I'll come back to you. Definitely, we'll be having this kind of project. Now we can do that. I'll come back to you separately.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Dhatu, Dr. J.K. Anandakumar Seriji, for your valuable input. Now, may I request Dr. Yu? Yeah, Dr. Yu from Taipei, Taiwan, please take the stage. Please, Dr. Yu.
Namaste.
Namaste, please.
Yeah, before I talk, I just want to share with you that last night I was with Venerable Ming Guang, and we talk about you and talk about the future to visit your place again. Yeah. Okay. I think today's this seminar is very meaningful for everyone, and I just want to talk some point. I will focus on the methodology approach. I mean that we have many ways to talk about the education for the young people, for the current situation. But I think 3 points I just want to share. Number one is about how to realize the two-level truths deeply. I mean that the teaching given by the Buddha, that from the very original sutras. And that is one is the orderly concept of the truth, and the second is the ultimate truth, which that we get the nirvana, we get the ultimate approach to the state, highest state. And I think that this is very fundamental, that especially for the young people, if they can understand these two levels and they study carefully, and I think they will know more about, will understand more about the Dhamma. Yeah, because these days that the young people, they just learn the Dhamma, the teachings from the general Buddhist environment, and they have a very little knowledge about the ultimate truth. So this is the number one that I want to share with, especially for the young people. And secondly, that I just want to share with everyone that how can we apply Nagarjuna's special technology, very special methodological approach to the Dhamma. Like in his most important book, that in Chinese, it is only available now in Chinese and partially in French and English. The book is called Mahaprajnaparamita Sastra, and it was translated into Chinese in the 4th century. And thanks to Kumarajua, Master Kumarajua, he came to China and then he translated. And totally 100 volumes is available now in Chinese, and only 34 volumes are available in French and English. What I want to share is, according to the volume number 1, that Nagarjuna said that there will be 4 dimensions to approach the Dhamma. Number 1 is it's called orderly. Use the Sanskrit term. It's called Siddhanta. So that is the number 1, the orderly Siddhanta, because we live in the world, the orderly world. So this world has its own rule, its own different ways of, we can apply. For example, the law and the way how we study, the language we learn. That is the orderly Siddhanta. Bhante, I don't know, do you use this term, Siddhanta?
Yes, please go ahead, yeah.
You use, right?
It's Indian word, yeah.
The principle and the theory and the the way of understanding. So this is the number one, that the orderly Siddhanta. And we must avoid, try to avoid, because in the orderly concept, there are many theories, many truths twisted to be, like a dogma, and sometimes it's translated in a very fundamentalist way, and it's very, very wrong, and then it misleading the young people, misleading the world. So this is number one, that we have to realize the importance, the true meaning of the orderly Siddhanta. And the second is individual Siddhanta. That the Buddha always give teachings, that following the people who listen, his mentality and his background, his culture, cultural basis. So Buddha give the different teachings. And now Buddhism is spreading around the world globally. So therefore, we must try to explain, to interpret the Dhamma in the different ways according to the individual situation, individual mentality, individual, understanding how to approach. So this is the individual theory Siddhanta. And the third one is called therapic Siddhanta. Means that all the teaching given by the Lord Buddha is like a medicine to cure the people, in a different ways. For example, that for people, they have different mental problems. They have the greedy, and have the poison of greedy, and the poison of hatred, and the poison of ignorance. And in this situation, that when we give the Dhamma teaching to share with the young people, then we must realize the widowed mental state, what they need, what kind of medicine they need to help them to cure. So, for example, that Nagarjuna said, if people has a very strong greedy, then when you give the teachings, be careful. For greedy, the only way to cure is to give the teachings, not the teachings on the dependent arising. Because dependent arising is not like that. Dependent arising will be more suitable for people who has a strong ignorance. But the dependent arising theory would be good for only for the ignorance, but then for the greedy people, then you should not do another like, compassionate. Compassion also not good for the people who has the mental problem of the greedy. The best way medicine for the people who has the problem with the greedy is the way that how to, sorry, I have to use the proper term.好了，我们那个贪心要不用因缘观，要用什么观？
贪心。greedy 啊。
对的，用什么对治？对治西谈。
贪心，布施啊。
不是。我那个论文没有在手上。来不及了，可还早，你想得起来就想。那个。I'm sorry that I'm trying to
fine. I
get
think,
the proper...
Doctor, you can go ahead. People are able to understand, to get your idea.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Please go ahead.
And then for the hatred, that is the best antidote is the compassion. So I think following this principle that antidote and the therapeutic theory, then when we give the Dhamma teaching to share with the young people, for the public, then it is very useful and helpful. And the number 4 is the, the ultimate siddhanta. That is, how to get into the real reality of the Dhamma. And that requires more good practice of the deep meditation and the, more profound understanding of the Dhamma, of the wisdom. So this is the 4 standards that we should apply. And then my third point is about how can we get the proper inspiration from the modern science. You see that, there are 2 dimensions that I think we can use properly, very important. Number 1 is about the brain science. Nowadays, we know that our brain has 2 parts mainly, the left-hand part and the right-hand part. And the left-hand part is that we can use it for more reasonable understanding, analytical, that the knowledge. This is the left-hand part. And the right-hand part is more intuition and more how to say that we can use it that get a more deeper understanding about the Dhamma in a straight way. So these 2, right and left, should be keep balance. So this is about the brain system, brain science, and how to use it properly. That is also very important for us, for the young people. And the second part of for the modern science is about nowadays that if we can understand more about the quantum physics, and there are many new theories discovered according to it. And we have many good people that they do the good study. We have a very good dialogue, between the science and the quantum physical science and the scholars who have to do the good studies in the Buddhism background. So there is, I think, 3 points very important that about this kind of dialogue. Number 1 is about when we realize, the real truth of the quantum physics, and then we realize that the physical and mental, they can have the more interaction, more integration. So therefore, we should not, only have the wrong conception that okay, mental and the material, they are totally separate. It's not like that. It's non-dual. And then another point is that the whole world is very, very complicated and very, very subtle. For example, when we talk about nowadays, when we talk about the COVID-19, but actually on the 3rd century, there's one important sutra. It's the Avatamsaka Sutra. According to the Avatamsaka Sutra from India, and then it very clearly talk about the reality of the very, very tiny and subtle micro elements of the life. So it mentioned that according to the Avatamsaka Sutra, there's one special chapter that is talking about there are many diseases, and that disease, they are formed from the very micro, how to say that? Usually we say the 4 elements, that is in principle, the big one. But the tiny one, it is immeasurable. And that is why so many different kinds of disease and the troubles for people appeared. So when we look at the Avatamsaka, especially on the proper the chapters, we can realize why it is. And now how can we deal with the COVID-19 virus? According to Avatamsaka, we not only try to kill them, not only try to go against them. No, it's not like that. We must, number 1, we must try to transform our mental, our mind. How to create more compassion and more understanding and more rightness of our mind, So then we can have the proper negotiation, proper dialogue, subtle dialogue with this kind of disease. And then actually this kind of teaching from India, and then in the last 1600 years in China, we do the practice. We must do the proper fasting and the proper prayer and proper that make the confession to the Buddha, to the Bodhisattva, and to the deities, and have the negotiation, have the mutual understanding with the disease. So I think these days, I just cannot talk about this in detail because it is too much detail, it requires more proper translation. But anyway, I'm happy that today we have the chance that we can talk this kind of a seminar, and I believe that if we can have the more dialogue and more, this kind of conversation, we can create a more good message for people around the world. That is my simple understanding, and I would request your more teaching.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Yu, for your explanation about 2 levels of truth. In Pali, we call it Satya, actually. It's in Satya or Satya. So this is, we have this Vyavaharika, what you are saying, the phenomenal or the worldly truth that we experience in the life of existence, whatever things are coming here, that is Samutti Satya also in Pali. Then we have another level of truth is called Paramatha Satya, where from the experiential world, whatever we draw through our experiences, through our senses, then there is some other level of truth that it is conceivable only at the level of your higher concentration, samadhi. And if you reach that level, then whatever you're experiencing in this worldly life or in the sensual life, that becomes at that level, it becomes redundant, like not required. So when we raise ourselves from the level of the Samutya Satya or the phenomenal world experience to the Paramatha Satya or the highest or higher level of experience, at the mental level, then there what we call the Sachitananda or Nibbana, Nibbanic peace, or whatever the terms we are using, that comparatively long-lasting, unshakable, unwavering peace and happiness that one can experience. So this is what actually the truth that we have. Thank you so much. Now I would pass on to Dr. Gulshan ji, please, before we conclude.
Thank you very much, Dhammapiya ji. From world over, on my Facebook, on my watch parties, I'm getting so many inputs, so many areas. There are 3 questions which I have yet to take on. If you permit, I will just check up. It is country UAE. Okay, fine. It's basically they have given their more details. Dr. GK Saab, people want to know, is there any website of yours?
Sharmaji, I just got a volunteers have helped me to put a website. It is livbybuddhism.org. It is rather passive, but I'm now trying to get some professional people to upgrade it so that it can be more interactive.
Is it functional at this point of time?
Yeah, it is livbybuddhism.org.
So what we can do, sir, somebody can just type it in the chat box so that people understand, sir. People understand. It can be typed in the chat box here. Somebody can just type it over here because so that they don't misspell.
NIB, L-I-B
is what?
L-I-B.
N-I-B, Nibbana.
Live by Buddhism.
Okay.
Live
by
by
Buddhism.
Live by BUDDHISM. Live by
.org. .org.
.org.
.org. Because people ask me, so I'm taking a liberty to post it in the box so that people can have it.
Lead by Buddhist.
And secondly, Madam Deborah, people are more keen to know a little bit because when we are talking about Canada, when we are talking about Latin America, and when we are talking about United States, because that particular region at this point of time, it's a late evening or great evening or a green evening, whatever you would like to call. People want to have few words from your side, whatever you would like to, and then thereafter, with the permission of Venerable Dhammapiyaji, we will close it. Madam Deborah, few words from your side.
Yes, it's a very good opportunity for me to have a chance to share with you all. This time, COVID-19 pandemic is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. So this session is really bring the Buddhist platform together, and we should treasure and value this opportunity to share more, to invite more people to join, especially our young generation. So we are very grateful. And next week we will be here and then to share more about Buddhist in action.
And also you make a commitment to us that next Sunday you'll bring 3,000 people with you.
We will try.
Yes,
Everybody.
Yes, Dr.
Saturday.
Yes, Dr. Gulshan ji, they can bring 1 million volunteers.
No, I want to start in a humble way. I want to start in a very polite way because my entire governing body of our chamber, because our website, I'll just post it over here so that everybody knows. It's a www.icsiindia.in, and it stands for International Chamber for Service Industry. Madam, is there any website of yours you would like to share so that people know more and more? If you can just type it over here, I'll be personally grateful to you.
I'm typing right now, so people can go inside to learn, and then we have quite a few areas.
Right, right. Thank you very much. So for the benefit of everybody, Madam has posted it over here. We all can have a look at it. Now there is so much to learn and so much to share. In fact, in total silence, total peace, I learned each and every sermon, each and every word from all of you. And particularly Dato GK ji, he is bubbling with so much of knowledge and energy inside, which he wants to pass out to the younger generation. So I think, Madam, particularly with you over there, Madam Deborah, you kindly help us out, bringing more people in a fold from the world over with a focus on United States. And then we've got the people, Canada, Latin America, Europe, all that part, whatever you can, and rest of the world also. And Dato Dr. GK ji, as Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji has committed to you and he has invited to you. So we also from our chamber will try our best whatever we can. Dr. Yo Hisang ji, thank you very much. You shared your thought process with all of us this morning. And I'm so grateful to you. Let the entire humanity, let all of us together, whatever best we can do, this particular international university, which has to come up over there, it should give me, although I was not there when Nalanda International was there, but I want to be there when this university comes up. So my entire governing body members, my president from Thailand, and my subsequent generation people, those are in Malaysia, and my immediate past president from Woodbury University, they all are watching this program. And yes, another very powerful person and very rich under CSR who is doing a lot of activities. He was the richest NRI at present in Singapore. He's also watching and trying to understand what exactly are we doing every Saturday morning, and who is this Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya? What exactly he wants to do? What is this university? So all of us together, my deep gratitudes and thanks to all the people who joined us from the world over, whether you came on the webinar or you came on the Facebook or you came on the chat party. Let's take a pledge this morning that we all will try and learn from each other the best possible way, and whatever is Buddha's teaching and whatever is Buddha's philosophy, we'll try and bring in the education fold with the dream project of Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji in the form of the university with a commitment. I will be the first student to do my DLit from there because I hold already my PhD degree. So I'll be world first DLit from this university. As a humble student, I would like to join over there. So all of us together, kindly accept me. I'm already wearing the clothes of Dhammapiyaji. The only thing is same color. The only thing is he's far ahead of me, but I would like to be a true disciple and I would like to walk behind, and whatever best our chamber can do, I'm morally committed. I'm spiritually committed. From my soul, I'm committed that this particular university should come up at the earliest, so that Dato Dr. GK doesn't come for 1 month or 2 months, 6 months. We keep him permanently in that university to try and work out. And Madam Dabra, I'm so grateful to you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us this morning. And you have got such a large kitty of the globe under your umbrella. Please bring us also in that umbrella. Try us, because it's raining and showering outside. We also want to come in that umbrella. Please bring more and more people in this program. Please bring more and more volunteers in this program. And if there are more than 500 million people, followers world over of Buddhism, let's accept our humble prayer also. More and more people should come in this particular program. With these words, my deep gratitudes and thanks to Madam Dabra, Dato Dr. GK ji, and Dr. Wo Hisam ji, and of course, Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya ji. The last prayer from your side, our Venerable Dhammapiya ji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Gulshan ji. With the note of thanks and gratitude to all the panelists, may I now chant the closing blessings and prayer. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena Sada Sukhi Bhavantu Te. May all beings be free from danger. May all beings be happy and peaceful. Thank you so much, everyone. See you next Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Look forward meeting all of you with yet another powerful morning with the spiritual nodes of Lord Buddha, how it is relevant to our education system. Next Saturday, early morning at 9:30 a.m. and we will have another distinguished guest with us. But don't forget to join us this evening, because yoga, meditation, naturopathy, herbal and nutrition this evening, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, you will be meeting the people, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, and the Ayurveda practitioners from the world over. They all will be with us this evening, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And of course, the rest I'll share with you this evening. Thanks, everybody. May Lord Buddha bless all of us. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks a lot. Very kind of you. Great morning, green afternoon, green evening, wherever you are world over. May God, Lord Buddha bless all of